But let's start off talking about Javi Guerra to Manchester United potentially, and let's start talking about who he is. So he's a Valencia midfielder. I believe he's 22. He's contracted till 2027, and the reports all coming in from Spain this morning is that he is rejecting the contract that many people felt he was going to sign. In fact, it was about a month ago that Manchester United were linked to Guerra, with some Spanish reports, I think, saying that we were very close, we had a green light, and we were going to sign him for £22 million. And very quickly, that story sort of got, dismissed as not true, and that he was close to signing a new contract with Valencia, which obviously expires in 27. And I believe he has got a release clause of about £80 million on that anyway. But Valencia have always been quite open to the fact that if they sell players, they're not necessarily asking for the release clause because they've got their own financial issues. It begs the question why a player of such, European quality, i.e. everybody knows who he is, would be available for as little as £20 million, and nobody like Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Real Madrid, Barcelona, etc. are looking at him. So that would be one reservation. However, this morning, a raft of Spanish reports are out again saying that he is going to reject the new contract and therefore look to move this summer, and Manchester United are ready to swoop for about £25 million. Look, I mean, we need a midfielder. Many of you think that this is the type of midfielder we need. I haven't seen loads of him, but from what I have heard, read and looked at, he is a very energetic midfielder. And let's not forget the word that Fabrizio Romano used when talking about a midfielder yesterday. He said the word he's getting from Manchester United about a midfielder is intensity. And Guerra would certainly bring that. Some people call him the next Rodri. I think that's a little bit unfair and a bit dismissive to his actual repertoire of talents. Yes, he can play as a holding midfielder. Yes, he can pass the ball. Yes, he can tackle. Yes, he reads the game well. But many believe he actually can play as an 8. Many believe he could even play further forward. So versatility, intensity, and talent is certainly 3 words that you would assess with Guerra, who is also, he's not small. And physically, I think he's quite tall as well. So I think it would be a very interesting. Julia says he's got no history of injuries, which is positive as well. Look, he's definitely a hipster pick, a bit like Cherky was a few months ago in this chat. Guerra will be very, very positive and very well liked. I guess we just have to take a deep breath of cynicism and realism, and just say, let's just see where this story goes. At this moment in time, we know that many of us would like to sign a midfielder, and at this moment in time, it appears that that is a shared view from Manchester United. And a midfielder of this profile would actually fit the roster, as some people don't like it saying, with our midfield. When you think about Agate, he's mid-20s, Casemiro's well into his 30s, Bruno's into his 30s, Mainu, okay, is quite young, and Collier's quite young, but if one of those are going, and as I've said for a while now, Collier is surplus to requirements if the right offer comes in, then Guerra into that midfield roster sort of fits quite well at 22. Look, it looks like I would be excited by this signing. I've always been quite dismissive of not hipster fan theories around players, because I can throw players at you that I think we should sign. I think Richard Rios would have been a good signing, but he's now signed for Benfica. We were never really in for him. So, it's difficult at a time where we need realism and leadership to start theorizing about the players that we should go for. However, if a player that many of you talk about suddenly becomes a target for Manchester United, that can only be a positive. So let's see what happens with it. It's certainly early days, and it's only Spanish reports, and it could be agent-led, as Matt, our editor, said. It's a very similar story to a month ago, and it could be agent-led. And as we know on the United Stand, if you're new, make sure you subscribe. But we have 5 strands to a transfer. 1, when a transfer story is out, it's either true, totally nonsense, agent-led to get a new contract where they are, agent-led to get a move, or club-led to get a sale. And what I mean by that is Man United can be used in many different ways, and we could well be being used again.